Novus Renaissance, the new Renaissance, with these gentlemen and these talents, this grows over time. This grows over time, it sets stages, it sets conditions, it inspires others. Epic has a whole thing that he wants to do. Eric does, Nick does. The Dor Vahdor verse is the place where you will have the ability to create and do cool things, and then go create your own world.
Hi guys, how you doing? It's Epic Tales back in the building, and today I'm with Nov Renaissance and Nicholas Calloway, two people who are integral to what we created in the Dor Vahdor universe. Everyone is already kind of familiar with Novus Renaissance, but I'll let him to introduce himself right now.
Absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Do you dare to adventure and journey with us and witness monsters, giants, humans, heroes, villains, gods, battles for supremacy before time was a thought and reality dawned? Novus Renaissance is a new platform for fan freedom, creating and defending great stories, great characters, superb secondary worlds where the fans everywhere experience adventure, excitement, and wonder. Dor Vahdor Volume I and the Dor Vahdor verse, with creation, angels, and war, and the entire history of pre-flood Earth, is the explosive supernatural fantasy and science fiction series of our time that immenses your imagination in a saga forged before time was a thought and reality dawn. And our Volume I unleashes the account of eternity's most ancient bloody combat, the legend of Lucifer and Heaven's Great War, and it's the beginning of your adventure that has now been forged and brought to life in the motion comic video for episode 1 of a future animation series. And we welcome all of you to the live stream chat. And also I give great regards and welcoming to Mr. Nicholas Calloway, a professional voice actor, which we'll have an introduction here shortly. And then also to the collaborator and the co-host and one of the creative directors of the animation series, Epic Tales. Epic, back over to you.
Let's go, man. Like, how can you hear an introduction like that and not be hyped? Yeah, so like we also have Nicholas Calloway, a surprise guest, and we're really pretty honored to have him here. And could you just let the people know who you are?
My name is Nicholas Calloway. Some of the times I go by Gizmomech as well. And I do a lot of things on YouTube, obviously, like Dragon Ball stuff is fun. But I do voice acting, obviously, on the side. My channel is a lot of impressions and things like that, which is what it started out as. But then people were like, oh, you should do radio. You should do this. And I was like, that seems reasonable. So I met Novus, and then I ended up doing some amazing work on Dor Vahdor and having a lot of fun doing a lot of characters and reprising one of my main characters that I love a lot, that's taught me a lot about my voice and what it can do.
Nice.
And I'll go, if you don't mind, Epic, I'll go ahead and do a caveat to his humble its intro.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Mr. Calloway, he's one of the leading professional voice narrators for Dor Vahdor Volume I. And he also was in the Novus Renaissance 2021 Christmas and Holiday Special Remembrance of Sovereigns, which was actually a short story about the invasion of Belanda, which is in the realm of Caledonia, the actual pre-flood Earth. That's beyond Volume I. Think of it; it's a story in the equivalent of the Silmarillion, and he was in the cast that was on that as well. He's also the voice of the Exsurge Tolkien, the Novus Renaissance official encyclical to the Counter Rings of Power Heresy series that we did, and that is a fantastic voice that he did. He captured everything. Now, with the audiobook, in addition to some general narration and chorus support, he specifically did the voice of Cassiel, a high seraph named Speedabel, the High Minister of the Seventh Realm and Overseer of the Throne Plane. His defense during the War of Alvaroth and the defiance of Lucifer during the Great War was second to none. Phanuel, an archangel named Faceabel, who's one of Prince Michael's, aka Michael the Archangel's friends and captains. Samuel, who makes a appearance and is a character in the animated series, an Archon named Appointed Abel, known as the Judge. During the Great War, his skills in battle came on like the fiery judgment of El Adonai. He slew many Ophanims, and not to spoil it, but there is a colossal scene of power and excitement when that happened. And then finally, Zuriel, a cherub named the Rockavel, one of the defenders of Rakia's, that's one of the 7 realms, stronghold during the Great War, and Raphael is his companion. He leads many charges against the enemy to secure the stronghold. So that's who we got online today. We have basically the prime minister of the realms of Shemayim. And Novus Renaissance, the new Renaissance, with these gentlemen and these talents, this grows over time. This grows over time. It sets stages, it sets conditions, it inspires others. Epic has a whole thing that he wants to do. Eric does, Nick does. The Dor Vahdor verse is the place where you will have the ability to create and do cool things and then go create your own world. And if you haven't seen the book art or you haven't seen any of the images with Cassiel, it's this great 8-winged, about 8 to 10 foot tall obsidian seraph. And he has this flame effect. And basically, nobody goes to the throne. He stands right in the center. He basically receives the petition. So even Lucifer is the chief prince of all Shemayim. Cassiel is the one that stands before as like the emissary, as the steward. So it's pretty awesome. So again, we're very glad to have you, Mr. Calloway, and look forward to talking to you and hearing your thoughts about your experience. So
yeah.
Thanks.
Wow, what an introduction, man. Like this is the kind of hype man you want behind you before like you step on stage kind of situation, you know. I'm very, very happy to have Nicholas on the live stream with us. Before I get into the questions I've prepared for this discussion, I'd just like to say congratulations to Novus Renaissance, because this Kickstarter campaign, we didn't exactly know what to expect when we started it. But we basically set a target of 700 because we're just kind of like, let's try and be modest while doing this thing. But we've exceeded that goal, and yeah, we're just overwhelmed by the response. We've gotten so much support, and just thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey with us. Just going off the introduction that Novus Renaissance gave for Nicholas, I just want to ask straight away, like you voiced 5 distinct characters, like, which is kind of remarkable. How did you approach the challenge of giving each character like a unique voice and a unique presence in the narrative?
So it was really hard. It was to start off, it was really hard because I'd gotten so used to Cassiel, and the other characters and options were offered. And when I first started, I found it, once again, like when you hear your own voice as a voice actor, you hear the same thing. But like you said, I think a little bit before we started, you don't hear the same thing other people hear. So to me, when I'm doing different voices, it kind of sounds like, to me, it's the same. But when I listen back to it later while I'm not doing it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a whole different guy. Novus will know this. It was really embarrassing. In my room, in my office at the time where I was doing the recording, I had sticky notes on the wall for each character, which is where I would write down like 2 words for the character so that I would remember. Like one was older brother, another one was like really hot-headed younger brother. Like I had stickies for each character, other than Cassiel, of course. But it definitely was hard keeping all the personalities in line with what they were supposed to be. And I'd have to look at the sticky notes and remind myself before recording each time.
I told Mr. Calloway that because I get the uniqueness of being able to hear all the audio files in the raw. So I'll hear him doing basically the bloopers where he'll be going like, Lucifer, thou shalt not, what? You know, he just has his instructions. So I told him that, I told him that, hey, maybe we do a blooper reel, but then it's like, no, let's just say that. But the process of what he did, I mean, he knocked it out of the park. And to my knowledge, this was his first big step into the audiobook. Yeah. And the audiobook got professionally reviewed by 2 outside sources that are within the Audible. And they both complimented the entire cast and said it was a very professionally done work and a production. So we don't just have ourselves as echo chambers. We have the structure with Amazon and Audible and professional website organizations that specifically exist to review the audiobooks. No, he was great. Absolutely great. Give it back over to you.
I absolutely know the struggles of trying to, because I do I do a little bit of voice acting myself in my motion comics, and I know how hard I cringe when I hear my voice. Sometimes I'm just like, nah, this is not it, and then I repeat it so many times. If I could do like a blooper reel for all the the motion comics I've done, like that could be like a 10-minute video because it just goes on and on. But I myself have listened to like your narration, and I kind of use it as context to, you know, gain an understanding of like your interpretation of the characters helped me conceptualize them more in my head when I was you know, working with Nov Renaissance to create the motion comics, because he sent me like a few like recordings. I just didn't know it was you at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like very incredible work. I am looking forward to the possibility of working with you on future motion comics. I just feel like we'll be able to do some incredible stuff.
Epic, I'd like to take this opportunity to just point out that Andres Vata has joined us in the chat. I just want to highlight for him. He contacted me and said that he's going to only be able to listen because he's actually working shift. Andros Vata, he also has a YouTube channel that I'll post. He's a fantastic composer. The story of finding everybody is a process of just reaching out and people saying yes or no. But Andros is an Italian composer whose talents compose the Dor Vahdor Volume I book soundtrack. We have an official book soundtrack that each track is supposed to capture the book chapter. And the soundtrack beautifully complements the books, and it fuses one's mind to pursue every aspect of the tempo and emotion that begins with the first page and climaxes with the last. Andros brilliantly crafted the vast and simplistic music that epitomized the human story while experiencing the divine, and he nailed it. That was about that six-month process that I talked to you about. But he's in the chat. Shout out to you, Andros. Thank you for being here. And post any comments you have in the chat, and we will give them. But thank you again for being here.
And those were the same soundtracks that I used for the motion comics, right?
That's correct. And then we also had the other composer, Louis Vaillet. But yeah, the main music is coming from the soundtrack with the majority of what you used. Beautiful
stuff. Like when I was doing the motion comics, I was able to draw a lot from those soundtracks. I saw what had been done, and like just based on like the script that we both worked on and everything, I was able to like put everything together. And even the creative process was very immersive because of the music. And like, yeah, like I'm just like blown away because each of the tracks have so much like emotion and drive behind them. So it was a very like honored you know, process for me. And yeah, thank you for your work. So Nov Renaissance, like, how does it feel to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, and like how have you been receiving all the love and all the engagement and just everything that came with a successful Kickstarter campaign, and you know, everything in general? Like, what are your feelings towards this milestone that we have reached?
Well, the first thought was just start playing the Elton John's "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" and just bring it all in from the African Starry Nights. With that, you know, it's been phenomenal. And last week I predicted that because I had faith that we'd get it over, and we did it. We set a goal. Some people would say like, oh, you only set $700. Well, you know, $700 if it's fill or kill is important. So that was a milestone that we would attain. The great news is that we didn't just meet the 700, we surpassed it.
Yeah.
And there's about 5 days left in the campaign, and we're going to try to push for over 1K. Because we're going to do everything we can to try to you know, get as many donors as possible. Because if we go over at 1K, then that would go towards the next episode. So we have secured episode 2. We go over 1,000, we'd be able to start getting into episode 3, and we will continue to have open opportunities. We'll get into it a bit later for the announcement, but we're going to have opportunities on the Novus Renaissance website where you can continue to give. But no, it's basically, if we had the marketing and we had the reference point of some of these other channels that have hundreds of thousands of views, the system, we talked about creating a system yesterday, Epic, the system would be able to replicate a whole series. It is, yeah. I firmly believe that we are just at the reference point right now. We are at the reference point where people just don't know about us, but the Novus Renaissance is beginning and the creation is starting. And as more people like Mr. Calloway and Eric Darl's Art and Andres Vata and yourself start to form a league of creators, that's going to be going on to something special. And I have a specific passage I'll read later that encapsulates that with Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead. It's only about a half page, so it's not very long. But no, it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's stunning and brave. And also to Bards and Books, thank you for coming here and appreciate listening to the music. Well done to Andros's legacy there. And Melissa Casey, thank you so much. Also for donating to the campaign and for showing up in the chat. We really appreciate you being here as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for donating to the campaign. Just very grateful to have you here. And yeah, like I look forward to showing like you like you know, what we've done with like episode 2 and how we intend to keep the story going. Thank you for your contribution. Really grateful for that. So Nicholas, sometimes, right, like when I'm doing voice acting, I'm trying to you know, I'm putting emotion comics together, like just based on how the creativity is flowing and how I'm connected with the story itself. I sometimes get carried away emotionally, just like really drawn to like what's going on. Like, was there any moments where you were, while you were voice acting, that you just like you got like overwhelmed with emotions, or like basically what was your favorite part to voice act in the series?
Oh, Cassiel, 100%. I mean, Cassiel definitely was.
Welcome, Mr. Eric Barreau. And we'll get to you in just a second. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone.
On, Nick.
I'm sorry. Cassiel was a really excellent part because it's just like he was one of those aspects of the story where he was kind of like there. Like the other characters were there too, but when Cassiel was there, you're just like, wow, this is serious, huh? This is what it is. So there's many battle scenes that he has. There's many things he does. And my bloopers for him are probably the funniest thing. That between that and the narration, Novus can probably tell you that, like, because my bloopers are just me beating myself up. It's like, oh, I missed that word.
Cornucopia of colorful language that summarizes his position. It's like almost the number 2 angel in heaven.
Yeah. But no, I loved Cassiel very much. Like I said, he showed me what I could really do with my voice. I'd only ever really done like impressions and villain voices, but Cassiel kind of opened up another realm of possibility. And there's many times I think I got carried away in my recordings. If you listen to the raw ones with his stuff, but a lot of the times Novus is like, "Yep, that's the one," and I'm like, "But he's like that one right there," and I'm like, "Okay, that's." Good
nice. So for those who have read the book, Cassiel is one of the most badass characters, and he certainly has a lot of epic moments in the books, like packed with emotion and just like excitement and action. So like yeah, like very, very excited, super excited to work with Nicholas on the motion comics, because, you know, instead of trying to do 10 voices and you know, listening to myself all over and over again, like I get to work with like a professional who has like you know, that gold in his voice, you know. So I'm really, really excited. We have been joined by Eric Draws Art. He is the original artist for the Dor Vahdor verse. So if you get the book has these illustrations and just well detailed illustrations about what is going on in the story, and this is all from Eric Draws Art. And when I was doing the motion comics, a lot of the times sometimes to visualize a scene or to set a scene, I used a lot of his images to basically you know, structure the art style and everything that we're using for the motion comics. And he's also part of like his story is also part of the reward system, where like you get like a selection of his art. So it's not just Dor Vahdor verse, he does some amazing Master Yoda art, amazing Gandalf art, and yeah, like very, very talented artist that we're honored to have worked with. I'm just gonna let him introduce himself instead of like stumbling over my words. Go right ahead, Eric.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Eric from Eric Draws Art, and I had the distinct pleasure of bringing to life the world of Dor Vahdor and the First Heavenly War. It felt very fulfilling to be able to bring to life another person's thoughts and another person's vision for what they had in their head, and being able to translate that onto paper and visually it was super satisfying to me. So.
And like because like you haven't been here for most of the for this first part of the thing, I'll just go ahead and ask you a question, like what inspired what inspired your art style and like your approach to creating that verse visually. I noticed that a lot of care and attention was put, because there's just so much detail in each of the illustrations. So like what inspired you to take that approach to creating such a rich world?
I think one of the big things that, you know, was brought forth originally in the illustration process was that we had a mantra for each illustration, and that was fill the space. Fill the space.
Don't let one piece of
fill the space,
1 inch of space left.
One little thing, not one little inch goes by without a little bit of detail in it. And you know, that push really helped develop a lot of the scale. I think is what, you know, we look at when we're looking at these pieces, just the absolute scale of this universe. And it's not necessarily fathomable to the human mind how big Dor Vahdor is, and how big, you know, this first heavenly realm was. We can't fathom that as humans, but trying to be able to fit that on a piece of paper was certainly challenging and very rewarding to do. So that was the mantra: fill the space. And I tried to just develop that style into almost every piece that I was doing. So
nice.
And also, nice. I would like to just add, in addition to being the illustrator of book 1, he's also doing additional artwork for me as well. He did a piece again for Sir Zay Tolkien, and he also did he's done independent pieces. He's working, I think what we see that he's got in his desk is, I think it might be the prototype design where we're merging the AI art with the watercolor oil color that we're working on for the next book, but I could be wrong. It looked like it.
I was trying to do something, but it I wanted to get like a screen share on here, but I'm not sure that the screen was able to handle that.
So, could you send it to Nov Renaissance? Like, he has a way of putting this stuff up there. Like, yeah.
And I'll just cover just a bit. Eric is definitely an absolute pleasure to work with. He's got his talents, he's got his passions. He's located in his website is available. We'll put it in the chat, but he's located in the Boston area. So he does live shows where he'll take his art. So if you're in the New England, Boston area, you can actually meet him. I wrote in the book, basically, like, if you know about Jodorowsky and Jodorowsky's Dune and the Yodoverse, so the Meta Barons, the Techno Priests, Alexandro Jodorowsky had a art pair spiritual warrior called Mobius, a French illustrator and artist. And basically, Jodorowsky said, I could tell Mobius what I wanted, and snap, he'd make it. So Eric is essentially my equivalent of that, you know, with the Dor Vahdor Volume I. I tell him, here's what I want. We talk about it, and boom, he brings it to existence. It's been so fun to work on the Lost Legends and Sagas. But he also has his own series, Temeria, and he has some phenomenal, awesome genres that he's painted, from Marvel. He has a great scene of the Transformers, Optimus Prime bashing Megatron's face right out the 1984 movie. Star Wars, some great Vikings with Lagatha, and then one of his, ironically enough for me, because he has all this stuff, but the Muppets, Jim Henson's Muppets. He has a couple pieces that just continue to rock his sales. So again, we are so excited here. And for the other reference with Mr. Calloway, if you had to give a reference like, well, how powerful is this Castiel character? If Castiel meet Thanos, he would laugh. He wouldn't be worried about the Infinity Gauntlet. He'd be like, what is this thing called time? I exist outside of space and time. And then Melissa Casey is also one of our Seraphim Elite Reward donors that has 10 slots, but she donated the highest class that helped push us over as well. So Epic and Eric and Nick, I'll give it back to you. I've got the book ready, Nick, if you want to do the single combat scene later on. I've got 87 and 88 ready, so let me know if you want to do that, and I will pair the narration and Lucifer against your classic Cassiel. We'll see who wins.
Okay. Before we get into that, like, Nova, I want to ask you a question. As episode 1, the fall of Lucifer marks like a significant moment in the verse. Like, how does this episode set the stage for like the epic journey that lies ahead in terms of like how we tend to move forward with the story?
With that, what I'll simply do is in the back of the book, you have this great war, and you think, okay, but the next book is for Dor Vahdor Volume 3, Book 2, The Lost Legends and Sagas of Pre-Flood Earth, Volume 3, File, Defilement, and Exodus. And we have just a blurb that basically says the Armada invade, Nephilim rise, while the descendants of man must submit, flee, or die. And there's going to be a reprisal of a new attempt at war in the cosmos. There's going to be a massive protest rebellion within the ranks of the fallen angels. So it's just going to be crazy. And Lucifer is right at the center of it. And there's going to be an event that happens so significantly that all chance of redemption will be lost, and he will declare a perpetual conflict against this creature called man and woman. That is what awaits us in Book 2. And Eric and I will work to bring the visualness to it. And Nicholas Calloway will reprise his role as Cassiel and other characters as well. Cassiel will have probably one of the most epic sequences in that part of the book series. I know what it is, but I'm not going to tell what it is. But it's wow. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so it seems to me like you and Nicholas have something planned with the narration of Cassiel and Michael.
If he's got it's up to him, and that's not a pressure. But there's a short blurb where Cassiel, Lucifer's in the realm of the seventh heaven. It's actually in Book 21. But it's a great dialogue scene, particularly you talked about the characters. Could potentially be in a future episode, but Nick, if you want to, your voice is good, but sounds fine. We can reprise that really quick. Saw page 87 and 88 where Lucifer and Cassiel have the verbal combat before they begin the actual combat. If you've got that,
I just need. I would ask them the private link to the digital book if possible, because I kept looking for it and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay. Oh, okay. Like Nova, just send that to him and everything.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Look at what Eric is doing. Just like that's so beautiful. Like one of my biggest regrets. Like I used to be able to draw so well in high school. One of my biggest regrets is just like not keeping up with that talent. You know, I wish I look at that and I'm just like so jealous right now. Because like if I could do the illustrations for my motion comics, that would just be like the best. But like one thing I will say about Eric's art is that it's very punk, it's very metal, very like very detailed as well. And yeah, like for anyone who hasn't seen his art, like I think we just dropped the link on the chat. Check it out and yeah, have a field day in the shop and everything. So, does anyone have any questions for me? I've been asking questions the whole time. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Who's your favorite Dragon Ball character? That's my question.
Oh, my favorite Dragon Ball character. I'd have to say Vegeta.
There we go. All right, we're chilling. Yeah. We're good. Yep.
That's like 100%. I liked him. I liked his princely pride, and I liked how he always pushed Goku and how he always found his own way to do his own thing. He wasn't always doing things by the book. Could relate with him on that. For context, like Nicholas, you've read the book, right? You've read the book from start to finish. Okay, so like
literally and mentally.
Is there like any character that like you would like to voice, or is there like any character that like you have like an affinity towards when it comes to like representing through voice?
So what's funny is that I don't necessarily want to voice him. Weirdly enough, especially when I was doing the battle scenes where they talked a lot, I like Lucifer. He's cool. he's just so arrogant unnecessarily, and it's just like, it's great. It's no one doesn't like him. He's that guy. Like, it's like no one opens the book and is like, man, this Lucifer guy sucks. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So didn't necessarily want to voice him, but I like him. I liked doing the banter back and forth. It was always fun reading the dialogue that him and Cassiel had, because Cassiel's like prideful, but it's for a different reason, and then Lucifer's arrogant and prideful for his own reasons, and they clash because of the fact of that, in addition to the fate of the world and everything else. So Lucifer was awesome.
Yeah. Like, I feel like in the story, Lucifer was a character that had a lot of
charisma,
a lot of like the most like character development in the thing, because a lot of we're following his story and his actions, and he was like the main plot driver in the story and everything. So yeah. Well, Barton Books agrees with me. Vegeta is number one. It just has to be like
yes, sir. There we go. Yeah.
Hey, Epic, question for you. We talked about it a little bit, but for the second episode, what are some of your thoughts with where you think we're going to be going, particularly with the characters?
So, and I feel like this was something that we discussed a lot yesterday. I would like to see the story like dial down a little bit from like episode 1 with the Great War and everything, and like focus a little bit more on like Lucifer as the character that we are following through this journey, because I feel like it's from his perspective we can really get like a real taste of the story in a way that I feel would engage the audience a little bit more. Like I mentioned before, like he's the most developed character, and he has like this whole series. First of all, it's like it's like an arc of his story, from his rise and his fall and all of that. So I'd like to see us develop on that character a bit more and see like how it progresses, and like why he makes the decisions he makes, and just leading up to the epic climax that those who have read the book know that we are getting to. Yeah, I just feel like that would be the most interesting perspective to tell the story from. What about you? You're the writer. Like, how do you see this story like developing further with the motion comics?
Oh, well, I thought that the conversation yesterday was very, very good, because basically what it comes down to is we had that moment where we compare it to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, where you have a lot of stuff going on. How much battle do you have versus the character? Because people are emotionally invested in characters, but the battle sequence, again, we talked about the whole TikTok culture. You got to see the flashy things. But Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy went back to, all right, it's centered on the ring and Frodo going from the Shire to Mount Doom. Ring must be destroyed. That's the singular arc for the story. So in the series, for the future, we're talking about, all right, you've got all the stuff going around, and you get to the war in heaven. There's different realms going on. There's all these different conflicts going around. Let's focus on Lucifer. Let's focus on telling the story of his campaign against heaven, and going from the launch across the 7 realms to the White Throne, smashing through the ranks of the angels, and then basically getting to the climax of the series, if you would be. And again, this is why book 19, you could do 8 Game of Thrones season equivalents from just this one book within volume 1. It's to tell essentially the rise, the climax, and then the conclusion of epicness with Lucifer's campaign against the heavens and the faithful angels and the supreme creator.
Nice. Like, and we have some really, really exciting stuff coming up with that. I just have to ask you, Eric, what are you working on right now?
So what I'm working on right now is a Tumeria piece, and this is she's a queen Death Eater. Right. So if you know what a Death Eater is in the sense of nature, we think of fungus, right?
Uh-huh.
Fungus consumes all the matter that's dead. So this is she's the queen of death eating.
Yeah, well, like just watching like the detail and everything just brings my imagination to life and everything.
Lots and lots of mushrooms, lots and lots of fungus and natural things, vines, tree trunks, lots of leaves and lichen, algae, things like that.
Yeah, and like Novus Renaissance spoke a lot about like your collaboration when you guys were creating the visuals for the Dor Vahdor verse. Like how did working with him contribute to your like artistic process, and how did you balance your creative vision with like the collective storytelling of like of the story?
So, again, you know, Novus is always trying to push the envelope, right? Of what
I just want everybody to reach their full potential. That's all.
What we can, you know, what we're capable of. So there's that push to figure out what are we capable of doing versus what is too telling. All right. We don't want to give away too much. We want to show, but we also want the reader to be able to read themselves to the end of the book without figuring out the process of the story just through the illustrations. So the illustrations need to be able to supplement the magnificent writing that's in the books.
Huh.
Well said. Really well said.
I can't. Yeah, like I, you know, my illustrations aren't the story. The story is what's written, and I'm just here to give a boost to what's written in visual form.
Nice. You did a really great job, because like those images were very visceral and very you know, like they brought the story to life in a way that, like, while I was reading the book and just like, you know, comparing what I was imagining to what I saw on the pages, like it just like gave me a very, very different kind of experience. And yeah, like really, really, really good work. And I encourage everyone to check out his website and his store and pick up something as well. And
there's also
we have like 5 days left in the campaign, so anyone who wants to get a discount on any of his art should you know, like contribute, become part of this journey, and you know, benefit from the magnificent discounts that we have.
It's a $20 donation gets you a good chunk of rewards, but it also, in addition, gets you 20% off of the Eric Strahl's art store. And also with the artwork, this kind of goes back again to a conversation we had yesterday, that what Eric was able to do, because again, you're trying to capture these expanses, is in the book art, which really serves as a template to some get kind of a very rough sketch storyboard for each episode. But you know, told them about, we discussed great and length, like, do we do one single large illustration? But there's a number of different styles. So we have quads, we have it divided up, where there's anywhere up to 3 or 4 or 5 different small panels. Because what it does is it tells the story, it summarizes the story in pictures, basically, of the key events. And that's something that I wanted to, like, just give a teaser to the reader, and then I'll allow them to take those images and start to form the world in their mind, but not so much where it's just driving them to come up with, you know, I don't want to impose an image on them. I want them to start to unlock their imagination. But he masterfully did it, and it was very challenging because you only have so much space. And then what was really cool is he's done, you know, superb oil work, and he's really big into watercolor, you know, sort of like Joseph William Mallard Turner. If you're an art fan, you know who that is. Great master preceding all of the Impressionist and Monet, and he did it. But he we then kind of got in from a watercolor to then this digital art style, and it also, in addition to improving, the details where he was really to make some vividness, it also was able to increase the production. So we were able to have more opportunities to kind of do things, and it was really cool as well. And Andros just put a question in the comment, or made a comment for Eric as well.
Yeah, similar philosophy as Eric for music making. It's exciting to complement the story with the composition. Yeah, and it's just incredible how cohesive everything is. I don't know, was everyone aware of everyone while everything was going on, or did you just merge all the individual pieces yourself?
Overall, I didn't necessarily bring people together. With the one team was the audio team, because we kind of got into, basically we had sync meetings to make sure everybody knew what the game plan was. But Eric was present with the artwork because the book was completed before the audio book, and the music was being developed for the book soundtrack also after the book had come out. So Eric's illustration was a core piece of developing that, because the voice narrators could look at the illustrations, they could kind of see the characters, they could see the land, so you can kind of get into that. Andrew said it helped him a lot because, looking at the picture worth 1,000 words, then there were additional things that I worked with him saying, let's take these different styles. I wanted him to experiment with everything from the classical strings and brass and the percussions to the metals and to the techno beats. And so that was something that was really unique. It's like, I want to span the whole spectrum of the music, and he did it. And then we used Trello, a web collaboration tool, and that helped a lot because you can just post things and then people can comment and they can see it. So but the art was essential.
That was a great tool. I love the Trello. So
yeah, I think I've used it before as well. It's a great tool. Are we good to go with the dialogue?
Yes, I'm opening the page now here.
Okay. Well, for context, this is a little bit of a teaser, and then Nick, just let me know when you're ready to go. I'm going to do the general narration sequence, and then also Lucifer, and there are specific lines that Nick will reprise with Cassiel. So you got to imagine there's a massive war going on. Again, if you have the book available, find Amazon links everywhere. Dor Vahdor Volume I. Imagine there's the cosmic war. Lucifer at this point has been overwhelmingly successful, and he's on his final march. So he's prepared to go all the way. But then there is one power that decides, I will stand against him, and stands before him. So there's a verbal combat sequence before 400 million years of a fight between these great angelic orders and powers go. So let me know when you're ready, Nick, and I'll go ahead and kick off the narration.
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right. Grand Masters, Lucifer declared as he landed and greeted each of his companions with a kiss and embrace. It is well met like this for the last battle before we seize the throne of the false creator, Chief Prince. Azakel spoke. Cassiel's defenses, though, are unbreakable. We have also labored since the war's onset, and he has defeated us at every turn. Buell also replied. Perhaps it's due to your incompetence, Matt Manel snorted. Peace, Matt Manel, Lucifer commanded. He placed his hands upon Azakel's and Guel's shoulders. You have fought hard and achieved much, yet I am glad about it. Cassiel has withstood the tempest a long while, but now I shall break him, as I did Michael at Moan.
And you shall find then that I am unbreakable, Cherub,
roared the seraph as he dived down from on high as a screaming eagle. Ah, Cassiel, our eternal father's keeper, Lucifer exclaimed with cold glee. Cassiel's majestic form dominated the surroundings as he landed in fire and flared out his 8 wings. He was an inferno of raw, furious power. Well met, Seraph. You saved me the trouble of hunting you. Cassiel's reply to Lucifer was a defiant stare. His eyes targeted the cherub, and Lucifer stared back with a mocking glance. Cassiel's hands removed his robes, revealing a massive frame of sinew and muscle. He took a small iron baton from his belt and tapped it once, and the baton expanded to an iron rod. He pounded the ground 3 times and thrust it towards Lucifer. Double blade spears extended out of both ends as the entire weapon was engulfed in white flame. An excellent illusion, Lucifer cackled as he drew his massive blade that glowed in a powerful amethyst aura. Each angel eyed each other with utter disdain.
When this war is over, Lucifer, you shall fail, and the Lord of Glory will continue to reign over all.
When my war is over, Cassiel, all will witness my majesty. Seated upon the large white throne, you will bend your knee before me as the one true ascendant God.
You are blasphemy and treason, Lucifer.
I am truth and power, Cassiel. But enough talk. Do you plan to look upon me forever or fight? Cassiel flung himself at Lucifer. Their weapons collided in midair as the unstoppable force clashed against the immovable object. Both angels rose in the sky and fought. And then we sequenced to 400 years later to find out the climactic conclusion. And if we have the donations to propel us forward, we'll get to that scene and that episode in a future date. Well done, Mr. Calloway. Well done indeed. Well done to all. Thank you for being part of this creative effort.
Wow, like chills. Chills. Like I really love Nicholas's voice. Like yeah, like that was I'm so excited to work with you, man. So excited.
That was my favorite line, the one where he just dive bombs in, and I know that he doesn't hit anybody when he dive bombs in, but when I recorded the line for Novus, I never told him this. But in my head, I'm just imagining me dive bombing in and taking out like 80 people on the way down, just to flex. There's no reason that I'm killing 80 people to come in, but I loved that line. It was cool. It's one of those few times I get to yell a lot, and I like yelling. That's
Nicholas.
Cassiel just bashes everybody down. Like they can't breach his defenses. It's like he's like on this bridge. Eric had a great illustration where it's basically Cassiel standing on the bridge. It's like beyond Gandalf on steroids. He's not saying you shall not pass. He's just blowing people away, and they're like,
he's not even letting you know you can't pass. You just won't pass. He doesn't have to tell you. You're not going.
Yeah. So we had a Strange Mentality paper here. Thank you for showing up. Like she's supported this campaign a lot. She's constantly sharing and encouraging people to donate. So we love to have you around.
And Nietzsche has, and we appreciate that comments with Nicholas. He does have a serious radio broadcasting voice.
I hear that.
100%.
Eric, what were you going to say?
I developed a standalone illustration for Cassiel.
There's no way.
And
oh yes.
And Nicholas, I gotta tell you, your voice for that character was a big inspiration into how I developed the standalone look of Cassiel.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I love the character. Like I saw some of your illustrations for him, but I didn't see a lot of them until a little after. So I had to guess a lot. But once I actually saw your illustrations, which were amazing, I was like, yeah, I'm doing it right. This seems legitimate to me. Just this buff guy, multiple weapons, and I was like, yeah, that's him. That looks good. So.
We had two great examples of Cassiel. One is sort of like Cassiel before he goes into Dragon Ball Z mode. I gave that for you, Nick, before he goes into like the power flame and everything. And then we had him, and that was in the digital.
Ooh.
That was when he had the massive wings he's fighting. But there's also a fantastic watercolor. There were a couple of the first illustrations in the book that were watercolor. Right. And you've got this sequence where Lucifer has basically approached Cassiel and has had a request denied. And again, he doesn't get to approach the throne. But there's this great, beautiful, and just this immense amount of wings, and Castiel's got this whole fire sequence. He's somewhere like in a tunic, like he's in his ceremonial robes, and Lucifer is kind of upset at this point because he doesn't get what he wants. But between the regalness, again, he's like the high prime minister before the throne, and then you've got the warrior supreme. So it was fantastic.
Eric had an amazing illustration, by the way. I actually the other day when you told me about all this, I kind of just wanted to look around. So I literally typed in Castiel Dor Vahdor, and there's an Etsy poster that I'm purchasing because I didn't know it existed, but it looks awesome. It is actually the one you just showed on the phone. Actually, I was like,
yeah. Can you actually show that again? Like,
I can. Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, he has it on. I don't know how big it is, but I'm purchasing the poster.
It's a 12 by 18. No,
oh yeah,
yeah,
it's amazing.
11 by 17 inch poster.
Yeah, I didn't know those existed. If I'd known they existed, I would have had one by now. But I looked on Google and I was like, "Oh, weird." So,
and I guess he's still working on it, but we're developing a sequence with the AI as the concept art, where he then takes it and then he builds off of illustrations. And yeah, that one's like that's like we're gonna get to stuff way beyond that, and that's one of the favorites.
The size of those wings.
Woo!
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's not a small dude, man. He's not a small dude.
You had an art show where basically you had specifically Eric, one of the people came up and said like, I want that character. Like, yeah, I want that.
So the two that really get kind of people talking is the Castiel piece. When I showcase that, that gets people talking, and then Morel, the chief,
the corrupted Ophanim.
Yeah,
that is Morel makes the appearance in the episode too, with a phenomenal sequence. Yeah, that one was also that's what I was talking about. Like he is that's a fusion of digital art and watercolor, because he created the sequence with the watercolor, but he enhances it with digital effect. It's beautiful and it's amazing.
Nice.
And then Castiel, the other ones that really show well is our Chariots of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah,
It was also a phenomenal sequence you did of this massive wave after wave. Actually, two of them. One's in black and white, but one's in color, where they just see this line of chariots. Because Samuel also is in the motion comic episode 1, who is also voiced by Mr. Calloway in the audiobook. And Samuel is a crusher of the rebel legions. I'll just say that. And Epic had a great stick. He's like 10 million Ophanims with his bare hands.
I honestly can't wait to work with Nicholas on some of on the future motion comics, and like he actually his voice needs to be on that for sure, 100%. And I'm just like, again, like I feel like for this stuff to come together, like so many elements had to be considered and like put together, because it's just so cohesive with how you basically wrote the book, and then there's like art to it, and then there's a composition to it, and now there's a motion comic, and then you have like professional voice actors and everything. And I'm just like very, very, very inspired by all of that, and like all the work that has been put into it. I would definitely be getting myself maybe not Castiel, but like I'll definitely be getting myself some of Eric's work, just because it looks so epic and punk. And also really,
we have
excited.
If from the art with Castiel specifically, that image is on one of the Dor Vahdor merch lines that we have, which if you donate you can get discounts to the Teespring shop. But that image is so fantastic, it formed part of a whole line of merch that you can purchase, but you can also purchase it with a discount if you donate. So if you love the Apex Seraph, then why not?
Ooh,
Yeah.
look at that. Yeah, that was one of the images. Like, yeah, like damn, that looks terrifying though. Like, wouldn't want to fight that. But
There's a lot of faithful angels that would agree with that as well, as they flee or they join the rebel side.
yeah. So I just want to, thank everyone for coming here today. Nov Renaissance, like this whole like Kickstarter thing has been such a ride, and I'm happy I was able to like experience it with you. And yeah, congratulations, because yeah, like we made it happen. We didn't really know how people would respond to it and everything, but like this opportunity to expand the Dor Vahdor verse and tell the story through motion comics, I feel like it's a very exciting one, and I'm just like really excited to continue to work with you. Nicholas, your work is amazing. You're super talented, and yeah, I look forward to working with you 100%. Like, I need some pointers with the voice acting and all of that, and yeah, I feel like you could really bring something special to the motion comics and everything. And Eric draws art. Like, thank you so much for coming here. Like, your art is, I feel like your art is a linchpin. It's like foundational for like everything else that like we've done in this story. Because for a lot of the images, like Nov Renaissance kept sending images. This is how I want Samuel to look. This is how I want Lucifer to look. This is how I want. So like, we couldn't have done this episode 1, this Kickstarter, without like referencing your work a lot. And yeah, I encourage everyone to go and check out his page. And yeah, like if you want some of the art, like you can contribute to the Kickstarter and get like some super sweet discounts there. And yeah, like is there anything any of you want to say, like with maybe like plug yourselves with links to your YouTube or like your website or anything before we leave?
Yeah, just check out Eric Draws Art. You can just do a Google search. I do have a YouTube channel where you can check out a lot of time-lapse painting processes from start to finish, which is great. I do some demonstrations on how I do certain paintings. I also, my website, ericdrawsart.com, it's got a lot of great resources on it. It'll take you right to my web store. It'll take you right to my Etsy shop, where I sell on both sites. So
okay, I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. I'm just going there right now, and I am subscribing. I'm putting that's Eric Boyro. How do you pronounce that?
Eric Boyro, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just give me a second. I'll just put the link to your channel on the chat.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of promotion necessarily of my YouTube channel, but I do like to use it just to kind of chronicle where I'm at in a certain area.
No, I could watch videos like this for days, just like watching your artistic process. I think it's a very, very it's the kind of YouTube channel I could just watch for, like, kind of have like an ASMR effect, but kind of just like So yeah, I encourage you, check out his YouTube, check out his art and everything. And
there's actually 3 videos of some of the earlier ink wash pieces that I did for the Dor Vahdor universe. So
those are fantastic.
Summon Shemayan, Exalted the Morning Star, and then I have
absolutely
a kind of montage piece with the Shemayim suite. So really fun.
Nice.
Also available as rewards. And Mr. Calloway, any final thoughts?
Oh boy, I'm on the spot. Not particularly. I do have the YouTube channel. People can definitely check out. I have impressions and things on there. I actually have a video from when I first started Dor Vahdor all that time ago, talking about it and telling my subscribers at the time I was doing it. So if people want a first impression, that's probably the best place to go. And then most recently, I did start at the Twitter, where all of my voice acting related stuff, I do demos probably like once a day that I put on there. I have to see if Novus is going to let me put some bloopers on there. That'd be cool.
You can put whatever you want there.
Cool. Cool.
Expand the verse.
But yeah, the Twitter is probably the newest resource. I have it in the private chat, but that's probably the newest resource where people can just listen to my voice if they want to. I do reads for audiobooks and things like that as well. So most people just like sitting and listening to me talk for whatever reason. Not weird. Totally fine. So
also give a shout out to our book one soundtrack composer, Andros Vata. We appreciate you being on the chat. No, you could not be with us the live stream, but we appreciate you being here, as well as everyone that's donated to the campaign in the chats as well. Keep getting the word out. 5 days is a long time. I want to spearhead this. Keep it going. Let's make it 1,500. Shoot, let's go to 2K. Let's get the next 2 episodes down. Where Epic's ability with the motion picture comics, like this is dated. You know, this is like Star Wars. This episode's like Star Wars Episode 4. The next episode's going to be like Star Wars Episode 5. It's going to be a whole jump with the graphic display and the quality that he comes out with. So it's exceptionally exciting, and we've done it. So my closing comments with it is I'm going to close because I think it captures not just what we've worked on, but the triumph of what we worked on and about the future, because Novus Renaissance, the new Renaissance, with these gentlemen and these talents, this grows over time. This grows over time. It sets stages, it sets conditions, it inspires others. Epic has a whole thing that he wants to do. Eric does, Nick does. The Dor Vahdor verse is the place where you will have the ability to create and do cool things and then go create your own world. A reading from The Fountainhead by The Legacy of Ayn Rand on page 677 to 678 with Howard Rourke's speech. Thousands of years ago, the first man discovered how to make fire. He was probably burned at the stake as he taught his brothers to light. He was considered an evildoer who had dealt with a demon mankind dreaded. But thereafter, men had fire to keep them warm, to cook their food, to light their caves. He left them a gift that they had not conceived, and he had lifted the darkness off the earth. Centuries later, the first man invented the wheel. He was probably torn on the rack he taught his brothers to build. He was considered a transgressor who ventured into forbidden territory, but thereafter men could travel past any horizon. He had left them a gift that they had not conceived, and he opened them the roads of the world. That man, unsubmissive and first, stands in the opening chapter of every legend mankind has recorded about his beginning. Prometheus was chained to a rock and torn by vultures because he had stolen the fire of the gods. Adam was condemned to suffer because when he had eaten the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Whatever the legend, somewhere in the shadows of the memory, mankind knew that its glory began with one, and that one paid for his courage. Throughout the centuries, there were men who took the first steps down new roads, armed with nothing but their own vision. Their goals differed, but they all had this in common, that the step was the first. The road new, the vision unburrowed, the response they received, hatred. The great creators, the thinkers, the artists, the scientists, the inventors stood alone against the men of their time. Every great new thought was opposed. Every great new invention was denounced. The first motor was considered foolish. The airplane was considered impossible. The power loomed was considered vicious. Anesthesia was considered sinful. But the men of unborrowed vision went ahead. They fought, they suffered, they paid, but they won. Gentlemen, Epic Tales, Nicholas Calloway, Novus Renaissance, Eric Draws Art, Andros Compositions, Miss Jai Young King, audiobook narrator, everybody that's part of this project, with the motion picture to the book, to the art, to the music, we are winning and we are doing something awesome. And a small seed planted grows into a great trunk, a great tree, and that's what we will have. And I look forward to working with all of you in the future and pressing on with the next episode. And thank you, Epic, for working with me. And it's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay epic, and peace.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
They had joined Lucifer and wreaked furious fire on the ranks of the faithful. It was a slaughter like wolves among lambs.
Our Kickstarter campaign has finally ended, and we are beyond grateful for all the support and enthusiasm that you guys have shown throughout the campaign in August. But here's the thing, the journey hasn't ended. In fact, it is just beginning. Your support has allowed us to create episode 2. So this was a very successful campaign. However, we want to make episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all the way to episode 10. You can now go to the Nov Renaissance website and continue to donate so that we can continue making more and more episodes with higher and higher quality. I want you to understand that it is because of you that we are able to do more. So let's keep the momentum going. Go to the Novels Renaissance website and make a donation. The same rewards that I mentioned before are still applicable now. If you still haven't seen episode 1, check it out here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay epic, and peace.